Hello, welcome. This is Stoke the Fire. I'm Pamela Cucinell. And Stoke the Fire, you can find out more about it at stokethefire.guru. I, as a professional astrologer, am about to give you a forecast for the week. And the week we're talking about is the week of December 11th, 2017. And then after I do the forecast, you're going to have an experience from my friend Susie Mazzoli. Susie, say hello.
Have an experience. Wow, that sounds very mysterious. Yes. So the experience is that I lead us into a turbo boost, energetic turbo boost meditation for 10 minutes. And that meditation is riding on the information that we gather from Pam's forecast, which provides basically the spiritual, let's call it, threads that we can use to develop ourselves personally during the week. So what's coming up? How can we use it? How can we use that information to really boost ourselves spiritually? And Pam and I do this, as you know, if you've been watching us, we do it every week. We provide the week from Monday all the way through. And our intention is to really serve the cosmic energies so that we can really understand what's going on, and if we need to be a little bit more careful or a little bit more adventurous sometimes, and what sort of things to look out for. Pam and I have been doing this for a really long time, many years now, and we both have private practices. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself at the end of the program. And also you can sign up to receive us, Stoke the Fire, .guru, directly mailed to your letterbox. I've just been invaded right now, if you can see a tail, by my puppy, and many have been asking about my little Hungarian puppy, my Hungarian Vizsla. So we'll give her, she seems to have come in to say hello to everyone. So she's grown up a lot now, folks.
Oh, she's so big. Did she break the door in?
She did. She just broke the door down. So this is our precious Nutmeg, who's now going to go and be very quiet.
Well, she did yawn, so that's promising. So stokethefire.guru, as Susie said, you can go to that website and see how to get the subscription, which spares you hearing our introduction and discussion before we get to the 20-minute astrology and then the 10-minute energetic activation. But for those of you who want to watch us on YouTube every week, that's what we're doing these days, so that you can have a visual experience as well. And sometimes Susie and I get to be together when we do the recording, but oftentimes I'm in where I live, close to New York City, and Susie's up in the country. So, which is a good place to be when you own 3 dogs, 3 large dogs. So anyway, I will begin on December 11th, 2017. Now, for those of you who get to hear the recording the night before, the moon entered Libra at just after midnight, just a minute after midnight on December 11th. And the times I give are all Eastern time, so please adjust depending on where you are on the planet. So at that point in time, once the moon entered the sign of Libra, we started to move from what felt like maybe heavier energy of the Sunday before, things needing to kind of line up, get together, do your work, organize, and maybe feeling a sense of things being a bit unwieldy or not coming together the way you would like. On the 11th, with that moon in Libra, there's so much indicated about really being able to have conversations that get to the heart or the root of a situation. Now keep in mind that Mercury is retrograde. Excuse me, just missing one. So Mercury retrograde I've actually written a blog about this, that Mercury retrograde has a lot of negative press to it. People are aware of the fact that it seems that messages don't necessarily go across the way one would like, that people have to reboot their computer, that things get lost, that they have to double check appointments, communications may break down, commutation doesn't go as smoothly as one would like. Mercury is the messenger god. So when retrograde, it seems like things are just getting pulled back every time you want to race out the gate with a thought or idea. But the good things about Mercury retrograde are what we call all the RE things, to rethink, to redo, to re-edit, to reassess, to do things that you want to go in and look at much more dimensionally before you let it out. And one of the things that I was thinking about based on a conversation I had with a client was that receive is an RE word. And I thought, well, that's a really good thing to reflect on, because if you're not a person who's good at receiving, Mercury retrograde is a good time to ask yourself, why not? Now, the word receive is a really interesting word, as many words in English are. They have different meanings. Receive means you're giving me something and thank you for it. I receive this. Receive is also the word we use about, are you getting the message? Have you received it? So it's really important to look at how we receive when Mercury's retrograde. And with this moon in Libra, I think it's a tremendous opportunity to just really focus on, are people receiving the message in the way that you want to deliver it? Are you receiving the message or gift in the way it is offered? And are you receptive to whatever the message is? Libra is about mediating, being diplomatic, hearing the other person's point of view. You can hear how that kind of energy is so very necessary in today's world, where this person and that person have very strong opinions, but they aren't necessarily listening or connecting. They're seeing where they're divided. They don't see where they're the same at all. So with Mercury retrograde and the moon in Libra, we have an opportunity to see if we can balance that seeming difference, that seeming polarization, and see if we can come to a point of common ground so that we can actually build on something. So Monday, December 11th, is one of the good days during the retrograde when we can actually get things off the ground, make resolution, see about how we can do things in a reciprocal way so that we're making connections that are dynamic and make a difference. The 12th is another day, Tuesday, that has that kind of energy behind it. It's just things are much more electric. So I see Monday as kind of a gestating dialogue day. Yes, you can make some things happen and sort of put things in place. But Tuesday is very much a day where it's like, well, he said this and let's go for that. And what about this? The morning, especially late morning, may hit some confrontation or power struggles. And those of you who've listened to me before have probably heard me say sometimes the biggest power struggle is within ourselves. So if you're feeling yourself in this very power dynamic, a real question to ask is, how are you feeling within your own power? Do you feel that you can assert yourself, declare what you need to be said? Do you have to bellow it? Or is it a message you can deliver in a way that gets heard? So whatever bump or confrontation may happen that morning, just know that there's a lot of energy for you to move through it and get to the other side of really being able to look at that in a way that's much more constructive. Very, very strong day for electric and really gelling together, contracts and communication. Mercury retrograde, we often say do not sign anything if you can avoid it, but it's certainly a great time to work things out and see where people stand on different issues. The other thing that's happening is that in the evening, especially late evening, it's a lot of things are coming at you from different directions, and if we're like this, we're not necessarily seeing what may come up and sort of upset or shake things out. One thing I always say when this is happening energetically is it's one thing if it's in a conversation and you get kind of sideswiped by something you didn't see coming. It's another thing if you're actually on the road and that occurs. So if you're driving or in transit, be alert to who's around you. And that includes just walking on the street. Sometimes, and again, I've said this before, sometimes when people are like this and they just aren't noticing what's around them, they are ripe for getting some sort of upset accident or thing to occur that wasn't what they anticipated. But keep alert on Tuesday. So the 13th, Wednesday, the moon goes void, of course, at 7:27 a.m. Those early risers can continue to get things out and off with very good energy behind it and very open to receptivity. There's a window when the moon is void, of course, and for those of you who haven't heard me say this before, the moon void, of course, simply means that the moon has passed the last geometric aspect it makes to another heavenly body before it changes signs. In this period of time, which sometimes can take as long as a day and sometimes just a couple of minutes, but in this period of time, we usually advise that you don't start something new, that you don't make an overture for something to happen, because what's happening is, since the moon is about how we feel emotionally, there's no emotional glue to bind somebody to a conversation or discussion or agreement, and they tend to not be as invested in the outcome, so things tend to not go as you may have thought. So what's happening on the 13th is that the moon enters the sign of Scorpio at 8:59 a.m. About an hour and a half is the void. And once it's gone into the sign of Scorpio, we're now in a very deepening emotional period. So people really do make contact in a way that has depth and a desire to connect in ways that are profound and meaningful. And maybe at times like, oh, that's too much. That's a little too intense for me. It depends on the individual and what the discussion is. It's also a time when people honor and mark Hanukkah, so blessings to those of you who do. As we go through the day with that moon in Scorpio, it's very much a time when you want to connect to people who are most meaningful to you. It's also maybe a time when you're really looking at what your investments are. So the investments, yes, can certainly be financial, but it's also about anything you invest your time and energy in and your love into. Those things are very meaningful at this point in time. So those of you who practice and honor the holiday period, it ramps up the level of meaningfulness for you. The 14th, Thursday, is also the moon is in Scorpio. It goes void, of course, at 8:42 p.m. this is a really strong day to be making those connections, finishing things up, adding the ending flourish to something that you've had in motion for a while. There's aspects between Neptune and Jupiter in the morning that really show if your spiritual intention, if your loving intention is strong and powerful behind whatever it is you're giving birth to or getting off the ground, then the message is going to really have a very profound and dynamic impact. Once the moon is void at 8:42 p.m., again, being in the sign of Scorpio, this is a time when people usually want to go within, to reflect, to be with people they really trust, to spend time looking at what gives you a sense of feeling recharged and connected, and what is meaningful to you. Because Mercury's retrograde at this point in time, it increases that desire to really figure out the unconscious or subconscious layers. So the other thing I didn't mention about the 13th and 14th is those are very strong days for any therapeutic work, whether mental or physically therapeutic work, or spiritually therapeutic, emotionally therapeutic. They're all related. So on the 15th, Friday, we are in a long void of course period. So the moon basically will be void of course for almost 24 hours. As I mentioned, on Thursday night, it goes void at 8:42 p.m. It's void most of the day on the 15th until 8:07 p.m. that night, when it enters the sign of Sagittarius. What does that mean? It means that when the moon is void of course in the sign of Scorpio most of Friday, we are in a time that's really about, how do I put things in place? How do I get organized? And it doesn't mean clearing off your desk, which of course you can do. It certainly can be part of that, purging the closet, getting rid of things that are have outworn their emotional need for you. So old photographs, memorabilia, things that just, the box of things that were your grandmother's that you don't want and don't know who wants. I mean, those may be things that need to go away at that point in time. In a work environment, it's more about just what can you finish up, what can you clear off, what can you kind of edit or just put in place, so that you kind of clear the platform for what's coming next. And the other piece of this is that on Monday, when Susie and I will have our next recording on the 18th, that's the new moon. So we're in this kind of window of, it's kind of the dark of moon. Usually the dark of moon we look at the day before or a couple of days before the new moon. But because the moon is void of course in Scorpio, this length of time, it's probably going to add this kind of long period, which is very much about, what do I need to integrate differently, release from, look at another way, or put on the shelf, because it's not anything I want to carry with me over the next new moon cycle. So when and I'll just add this other piece, this can also be a day that feels fun to people, but most likely it's fun if you're in an environment that feels safe and with people who feel very supportive. Otherwise, it's not necessarily a fun day. Once the moon goes in Sag at 8:07 p.m., then we're in a kind of ho period and a party period, and a sense of let's add a lot of enthusiasm to whatever's in the room. So it can be a very festive evening, Friday evening. Same for Saturday. Saturday has this jovial moon in Sag. It's got a lot of kind of Jack in the Box, I didn't expect that to happen energy. That includes Friday night, early morning on Saturday, and a lot of need to be in environments that are open-ended. For let's not determine exactly like what this looks like. Let's give ourselves doorways or places where we can go, because we may want to float or drift or experiment. Not a night, especially Saturday night, to overindulge with alcohol or self-medication. It's more it's basically you're going out in the stratosphere anyway, so it doesn't need to be augmented in ways. It's naturally kind of a floaty, sort of drifty, high imagination, spiritually active night. The 17th has also that moon in Sag, and it just looks like a really fun day to me. It really does. It's a great day to be with people who are looking for adventure, open to new possibilities. And what's actually kind of wild about this is it's in the dark of moon period. So I almost feel like the real kind of release, purge period of the dark of moon occurs on the 15th, when that moon is in Scorpio, void most of the day. And the weekend, which has that Sag moon energy, it's like you're burning off everything that just doesn't fit anymore, because you're getting poised and ready for that new moon that happens on the 18th. And I'll talk more about the new moon that happens on the 18th when we're at December 18th. But the main thing is that on Sunday, as you're kind of perched looking ahead towards the week to come, just know that expectations and visions can be as high as you want them to be. What's really important as we move to this next new moon is that you're willing to take responsibility for the dream and vision. Those who are going to be able to manifest and follow through with that dream and vision are those who have things in place that make the machine operate the way that it needs to when the velocity really increases and you're moving quickly towards your goal. Now I turn it over to Susie.
It's so interesting, Pam, you know, with weather and delays and postponements and all sorts of things, that one of my graduating classes from the Art of Energetic Healing School is actually graduating on the 17th instead of when they should have graduated on the 9th. And it's interesting how the astrology, of course, gives them that graduation from what I'm hearing and from what I've seen from last week, they might actually be graduating on a much more auspicious day when they can take responsibility, as you said, for their dreams and visions, because they have the skills in their hands. So, you know, there's sometimes people get so upset when things don't happen their way. Oh, we're not doing it this day. No, really did it on this day. La 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 la. You know, all of the upset that goes on when something doesn't go the way you want it. And in fact, what's happening so many times is the universe is actually providing an even better opportunity, because to me, that's the energy of the universe. It's always lining us up to get the very, very best. And if we can just kind of get over ourselves and not get all hysterical or emotional, sometimes we can take that maturity and say, okay, This is happening for a reason. You know, we always say that blah, blah, spiritual community, it's happening for a reason. But sometimes it really can so clearly be seen that it's happening for a reason. So I point that out, of course, because the Energy Healing School is where I work and what I do, and very happy to announce now officially that we will be opening the school in Los Angeles next year, and our courses begin in March. And people are invited to sign up and contact us, Energy Healing School, www.energyhealingschoolny.com, and soon to be published on the web as well will be energyhealingschoolla.com. And those are 12-month courses where I'm teaching hands-on healing and metaphysics, and 25 years of my experience in the healing world, working as a homeopath, hands-on healing and counseling, spiritual work. And if you're interested, also we have our course starting in New York on January the 23rd, I believe, end of the month. So let us jump into the meditation and activation. And the big word that jumped out to me was receive. So we're going to work with that for 10 minutes. So I invite everyone, if you haven't worked with us before, to please just take this as a 10-minute turbo boost. This is energy coming at you from the work that we're doing. And so it's not a good idea to be operating machinery while we're doing this, but just if you can, just to sit down for 10 minutes. So perhaps leave this for, you know, the 10 minutes when you're going to sleep or something. And it's great to close your eyes. I do prefer if people sit in a seated position so that our spine is straight, so that as we're working with the nervous system, better than lying down. Okay, off we go. So we're closing our eyes. And off we go. Dear loved ones, as we work together now with the energy of you, as we work together now with the energy of the universe, let us heighten the frequencies, let us increase the frequency, let us come up to the very highest potential that we can possibly be at right now in this moment. And as we do that, every single cell of the body is responding, breaking out in a dance, doing some rainbow light, bringing in the joy, bringing in the awareness, and bringing in the wisdom that comes with responsibility and with awareness. And this is a time now where a lot of people are coming into what we call emotional maturity. And of course, if you are looking down at the earth from a spaceship or a satellite or just from anywhere, just looking down at the earth, you can see so many areas of discord and of what might seem like these almost puny kind of borders between countries and between ideas. And from a bird's eye view, these things might seem so insignificant, yet down on the planet, to the people that are feeling it, that are living it, that are experiencing this duality, it is everything. It is a question of life or death. So just see if you can lift up a little bit from the let's call it the macroscopic view of duality, of life or death. These are perhaps life or death situations based. Let us talk not about the natural disasters, but let us talk more about the disasters created by man, the disasters created by the difference of opinion, the difference of religion, the difference of ideas, the difference of politics, the difference of the mind, literally the way that the mind is thinking. So as you lift up a little bit from that space, the lines blur, and instead of seeing Republican and Democrat, you just see people. Or instead of seeing Jews and Muslims, you're just seeing people. Or instead of seeing one tribe versus another tribe in Africa, you're just rising up and you're just seeing people. So just come to that place where we are rising what we call above politics, above religion, above all of these concepts, these mindsets, and where we just see people as people. And in this place, seeing yourself as a people, as a person, as an individual. And in this place now, just allowing yourself to look at, maybe in the last, let's say 24 hours, what is it that you have received? What have you received unwillingly? Perhaps a big bill from the tax department or a big bill from your electricity company. And what have you received willingly with understanding, with love, with compassion? Maybe a nice card from a friend or a compliment. And just look at all the different things that you receive. You might call some of them nasty or unwelcomed or not what you wanted to receive, and some of them might be really fantastic and delicious and lovely and you wanted to receive them, like that bag of cookies that your student made for you. So as you're looking at all these things you've received, some are considered good, some are considered bad. And let us just narrow in now to the receiving of verbal information from people. So some people will give you verbal information in the form of compliments, in the form of love, in the form of compassion, understanding. And some people may give you information, words in the form of outrage or anger, or they might blame you for something, or they might be telling you off for something, or they might be upset with you for some reason. So just look now at the level of where you are receiving and who is receiving. Because, dear loved ones, what we see a lot of is that people project a lot of their, let us say the word stuff, onto other people. And a lot of people just seem to just sponge it all in and just take it all in, not recognizing at all that this is not their stuff, that this really has nothing to do with them. It's the other person's stuff. So as you come into your spiritual maturity, your emotional maturity, you begin to really become discerning about the receiving. And you begin to really become quite conscious of what is other people's stuff that you simply do not need to be a part of at all. Perhaps just listen to compassionately, but not engage with and not enter into the drama with, and certainly not react with anger or with fear. So we invite you now just to be in this act of discerning, receiving. That you receive things really understanding where they're coming from, who they're coming from. And this also stimulates you to be more aware of what you are sharing, what you are giving to others to receive. And as we do this, let us build the awareness and feel the energy of this awareness coming into you now, just becoming more and more aware. So, for example, if you are in a disagreement or in a fight with a spouse, with a loved one, with a friend, or perhaps with someone at your job, and if someone is telling you things, really be discerning as to, is this really about me? Have I really done something that is eliciting this response? Or am I simply now being the projection screen, the movie screen for this person to lay out their information, as we say? And we talk about this only because we have seen so many people becoming so upset or literally distorted in their energy fields because of what they are listening to from others and what they are literally taking on from others. And they are absolutely feeding into the drama, feeding into the amplification of drama by their reactions. So I invite you, dear loved ones, to next time you feel that triggered of I need to react immediately, just notice, is it really necessary? Do you really need to enter into the drama? And here you are at the end of this calendar year when the energies are what we call dwindling with the energy of the year. And this is a time to really bring about awareness and carefulness in the field of your energy, to really know what is coming up. What is coming up now is perhaps the like when you are at the ends, when there is residue. What is the residue here? Where is residue still apparent in your conversations and in your interactions? And with this carefulness, you are able to create what we would call a nice crystal clear communication. And as we increase the frequencies, feel this activity of awareness and this crystal clear communication now coming up from the very, very, very root of your heart, from the deepest of compassion, coming up and coming through, allowing you to be in crystal clear communication with compassion, with what we call unconditional love. We thank you, we are complete. So just taking a nice deep breath and feeling that energy coming up, and just want to add to what we just talked about. And also, I think Pam and I will probably talk about this now a little bit coming more up towards the end of the year. But this this period that we're in now, for those people that don't know, I've been practicing Tibetan Buddhism for a long time now. I think it's like 40 years since I was a young girl. And this time now in the Tibetan calendar is the Dön season, and it's the time leading up to the Tibetan New Year. And it's the time where literally there's a lot of residual energy, karmic residual energy. So it's really important to be really aware, to be really careful, and to not enter into dramas and misunderstandings all the time, of course, right? But now it's just a bit heightened. So I guess we can talk about that a bit more next time, Pam.
Okay, sounds good. So Susie, well, I'll since I'm lit up now, I'll talk about what I do first. You can find out more about me at insightoasis.com. And there you'll find out about my private sessions and how I work ongoing with people in a way that has, yes, I read your horoscope, but I talk with a depth and evolution capacity, which really helps you be the best you can be. I like to say I do spiritual astrology with a practical twist. And as I mentioned, you can find out, oh, I'm really wobbling right now. I think I'm still in that reception mode from the meditation. And you can find out about our work on stokethefire.guru. Now I'll turn it over to Susie. Susie, tell them where they can find you.
Sure, you can reach me at susiemazzoli-healer.com for a private session with I working with people over the internet or in person in New York City. And with this work, it is working with the physical, the emotional, mental, and spiritual, either doing homeopathy or intuitive work, energetic work. And if you're interested in studying with me, the Art of Energetic Healing School in New York or in Los Angeles, or also in Stone Ridge, New York, we have new courses starting next year. And you can find the school at energyhealingschoolny.com. And I'm really happy to announce that on the 8th of December, I just completed my 6th CD of healing sounds, and it was made with 80 Himalayan singing bowls. So that will be available, I believe, on the 21st of December will be complete. So I will have some pre-order forms available coming out on my Facebook page and on my websites. And if people would like to get that, it's actually going through the 7 chakras. We have about 8-minute tracks on the 7 chakras going all the way through. And many thanks to Stephen George for giving me that sound, for his brilliant mixing and production. And I'll talk more about that next time when it's getting closer to ready. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening to Stoke the Fire. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week. Love now.